Alright, I'm back. Check it out. Yeah, I kind of live by LED light now. LED light is extremely efficient. Hold on, let me get this. Sorry, I had weird nachos last night. What was I gonna... Oh. Part of my book also talks about, LED lights, very efficient. They're much cheaper than electricity, at least from Green Mountain. They turned off my electricity because I didn't pay them. That's the way capitalism works. Quick FYI. And so, part of my book is about this concept called NP completeness. I don't know if you could even heard that. I was covering up the microphone. My book is about, part of it is a solution to a problem about P equals NP, which is really, really, really difficult math problem. Part of the problem is people don't really understand what NP complete means. Something that's NP complete basically is a problem that can't be solved by brute force calculation. It's a factorial function, and as you add a new element to a particular situation, it just becomes too hard to calculate. It's impossible to calculate in real time, really, what's going to happen in certain situations. There's a few examples on it on the Wikipedia page. So, in my book, I say I think I've solved this problem because there are certain ways you can kind of get around it by approximating closely using very efficient shapes. It's a geometrical calculation on how you fix it. And I had to fix math first, and then the NP complete thing became pretty easy. A couple other things that are NP complete. One is football. Football is NP complete. You can't accurately, perfectly predict what's going to happen in a football game before it starts. You can get close, and the guys who actually set lines and make a living off of this, the reason that they do this is because they know more about what's going on than you do. They have more of the parts of the equation solved, and so they can calculate it out and be like, well, most likely this team's going to win by this many points, roughly. And they're really good at it. They also calculate how much people have bet on certain outcomes. So what they're really doing is setting up a line that makes the house the most money. That's what the line is in sports betting, because there's people out there who know way more about those sports and what's going on than you do. And that's how they make a living, and they do it, and they make a pretty good living. So football is NP complete. From philosophy, the nature of God is also NP complete. The other one that I like a lot is this game called Magic: The Gathering, which is also NP complete. It is because it was designed by a mathematician. There's far too many spells or cards in the game to really calculate accurately, and there's a random factor that has to do with the shuffling of the cards that makes it really impossible to calculate before a game begins how it's going to end. There's too many things to factor in, shall we say. And that factoring in all the various parts of the equation is why it's a factorial function, which is why things that are factorial functions are NP complete. And now, by the way, if you watch this video closely, know more about what NP complete is and how to define it than most people who graduate with degrees in computer science. Because it's actually a really hard thing to understand, because the way that they define it is very algorithmic, and it's much more, it's an analog kind of thing. And when you get to digital processing, sometimes you miss the simple joys of analog. And it's kind of funny because the universe is also NP complete. And if you look at all the solutions that the universe has for energy and matter, you'll realize quickly that that's the same solution I came up with. By looking at stuff and being like, how did the universe figure this out? Oh, it just created these very efficient shapes in stable orbits around each other. That's a pretty good solution. Now let's see if I can translate that to philosophy. So that's a little bit about NP completeness, my book, and the solution to it, which once you see it, you're going to think it's so obvious. You'll be like, oh, well, duh. And that's kind of, it's a big duh moment, but that's why I'm charging so much for my book, by the way, because once the solution gets out there and people start talking about it, people are gonna be like, oh, that's no big deal, I knew that. And you kind of did, but you didn't know that that's what it was. And so that's kind of the little back and forth here I'm doing, because I want to totally give the book away and just talk about it and really explain to people, oh yeah, this is what, by the way, our species has figured out, which is pretty amazing. I don't know much about beyond my simple solution, other than I know how to talk to people about God and religion and football and magic too, which I love playing. But anyway, I just wanted to say a little bit about NP completeness. Someone thought that I didn't really understand it, so I had to explain, yes, I do understand it. Here's some metaphors for it. Metaphors are how we understand. Oh, one other thing. I said I woke up this morning dreaming. I have a curious mind. Basically what I do is fill it with questions and problems before I go to bed. And then as I sleep, it just keeps hammering away at these problems, kind of subconsciously, if you will, unconsciously. Basically, your brain turns off your memory while you're sleeping. This allows it to cool down a little bit, and because it doesn't form new memories while you're asleep, because you basically are turning off that part of your brain so it can calm down. But the thinking part of it keeps going, like, and it goes all the time. It just doesn't shut off. And so if you have a real big problem that you're working on and you just can't get the solution, sleep. Let your brain figure it out, and when you wake up, have a piece of paper or a video camera nearby so you can talk about the solution that you have or remind yourself of it later, because as you wake up, sometimes your memory still takes a little while to kick in. Some people, it's not until they get their coffee that it actually starts to go, because caffeine, and nicotine are both pretty psychoactive in that sense, and they kind of say, hey, wake up, time to turn your memory back on. I think that's shorter than 10 minutes, so there's 2 videos today. Video number 2, again, funny pun, I'm in my bathroom, but I'm working. Or at least my brain is. I'm trying to make my brain work for me full time. And it's hard because people don't want to pay for stuff that I want to give away for free. Again, capitalism, it's kind of annoying. And I hate to have to induce, like, scarcity with my thoughts, because they're not particularly scarce. But they certainly aren't infinite. And I do kind of want to get my power turned back on. So I gotta sell some books. So if anybody would like to buy one, you can buy it now. You can actually get a great deal, because you're buying a copyright to a particular version of the book, and then you can edit that version and sell it again if you want to. And probably, I mean, you can print out money, I think, with this thing if you do it right. That's what I'm trying to do. Basically, because I know what money is, but I'm not going to tell you today. I think I've mentioned it somewhere on my blog, but money is an interesting concept that has to do with the representation of work. It's not tied to anything else. And it's also kind of the threat of violence, which is the only reason the US dollar has any value right now. Although it's losing it basically because big, expensive military things depreciate in value very, very quickly. And then you're forced to use them, which I don't want to get to that point with us in China, which is probably where we're going to head if we keep fucking up our economy so bad. Yeah, I think that's it. That's fairly concise, right? Okay, peace out, y'all. Check these out.